we're talking Blue Beetle on... now, you have the disc, right, John?
I have the disc, yes.
Okay, so you have the disc, 4K, HDR, Dolby Atmos. I have the Kaleidescape, 4K, HDR, Dolby Atmos. And you saw this in the theater, John, so I'll let you go first. My only viewing of it was at home, and I've viewed it 1.5 times now. I started watching it when it came out. This came out back in October on Kaleidescape, and I snuck in a good portion of it during our Halloween month.
Okay.
So that's why I didn't really talk about it. And then I saw you had it, and so I watched it again. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had seen this in the theaters, and this is another one of those movies kind of like The Beekeeper, where I said, you know, I enjoyed this in the theaters, but this is going to be great at home. And it was.
Yeah. And you were right.
Yeah, and I was right. This disc is great. Like, regardless of what you think about the movie, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it just as much the second time. I think it's a lot of fun. I know it's another movie that way underperformed for DC and had a lot of people kind of panning it. But most people I talked to that actually saw it enjoyed it, you know. And yeah, I think the movie is what it is. I think it's a lot of fun. This is a character that is supposed to go forward in James Gunn's DCU. Yeah. I don't know if there'll be a Blue Beetle 2, but we are definitely supposed to see this character and I'm going to butcher the name. I think it's Zolo Maridueña, I think is the actor. We're going to see him again as this character. There's a couple of bits of the movie that are so corny that even I can't justify them. But overall, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, as far as the disc goes, this is just a solid disc. It's a solid action movie. Again, visually, it's gorgeous. Like the suit looks great. It's colorful. It's again, the 4K is razor sharp. I think it looks awesome. And this one has great sound. I mean, there's music that fires up. Again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene with some cool 80s music that just rocks, you know, and it sounds awesome. It has all the effects where you want them to be. As far as the Atmos goes, when there's explosions, when there's fights, there's all kinds of stuff. And yeah, it's just a solid disc and a lot of fun. I think you should pick it up. I think everybody should see this. It's cheap now. You can get it. I think I paid $11 for it. So there's no reason not to get it, in my opinion. So
yeah, I think same thing. When I started watching this, it was a little slow going for me at the beginning, but then it really picks up about the 45, 50 minute mark. The movie really picks up home theater wise. The story picks up, the whole family environment that they go after here, I thought really pulls at the heartstrings really, really well, which helps you get more invested into the movie, the characters. But yeah, the home theater wise, even just going by the movie poster and stuff and the bright colors and it really looked nice. I liked, obviously I watched both of these this week, but I thought Aquaman, the newest Aquaman, Fallen Kingdom, is that what the name was? That one there, I would say, is a better home theater experience than this. Yeah. But this one is really, really good. I felt like Aquaman, it just, for some reason, it was bigger and grander.
Three times the budget too, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
This wasn't a $300 million movie. So,
right. But the CGI on this was really good.
It was.
And same thing. It blended really well in the dark, the dark scenes at night. And you have him, I remember some people like panning this and like, he didn't want to be doesn't want to be a superhero and blah, blah, blah. And it's like some people were saying they thought that was fresh. And I'm like, most superheroes don't want to be the super. That's the main story. They don't want to do it. People are all over the place with this. I think, I don't know. Do you think, John, that it's possible people are starting to think like if it's a comic book movie, it has to do crazy numbers, where there is a level of superhero fatigue, whether it's the MCU or just these in general.
There is, and DC movies tend to not be as acclaimed and do as well as the MCU movies. But yeah, I mean, every movie is expected to turn a profit and make its money back. So I mean, I think that's the bar. Was Blue Beetle was never going to be $1 billion movie. No, but I don't think it had to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think it did what it needed to do either. I don't think it made its money back, and so it's. Yeah. I don't think it was deemed successful, but yeah, again, not every movie has to be Endgame and do $3 billion or whatever that thing ended up doing. And most of them won't. It's the rare, rare movie that hits that threshold. But I think blockbusters in general lately have not been. Well, we talked about this before with Mission Impossible and some of the Indiana Jones. There's fatigue in general, I think, in going to the theaters to see movies. Yeah. And I don't know why or what the solution to that is, but studios are not going to be able to continue to put out $300 million movies that lose money. Right. And so we either need people to go support these movies, or we're not going to get them anymore. Right. These things are made for streaming. If these things go made for streaming, they're not going to have those kind of budget. Now, this was a movie, interestingly, that was made for HBO Max. Like, this movie was intended to be an HBO Max original. And then James Gunn, when he took over, decided to put it in the theaters. So I think if this thing, so the budget for this wasn't ever really what a theatrical release was going to be. But I think successful, like for us, what we determine as successful is this is a successful home theater movie. I mean, it had, like you said, it has it all. Yeah. You've got great sound. You've got a great picture, very dynamic sound, very dynamic picture, that as a home theater fan, if you just want to sit back and watch a fun movie in your home theater and watch things go boom and see bright color, a great image on your screen to show off your display, this has it. And that to me is like when you and I were talking, John, back in 2018, that's why we wanted to start talking about this stuff. Because people are taking these comic book movies and they're trying to look at them like you look at like an Oppenheimer or a Casablanca or something. And you're like, no, these are just meant to be fun. And let's just sit down and watch things go boom and have a good time. That's what comic books are. And there's an underlying story here that's I really, really like. It resonated really well with me, the whole family ideal and everything, but that's what and I think that could be what's hurting the theater going experience, because it's getting so good at home, even for people not listening to the show, and just you've got your 75-inch television and a good sound bar, and you're like, what do I got to go to the theater for? They don't care anymore. They're like, I can get that. To them, they're getting it at home anyways. Not like we are, but. And that's the thing. And I could be wrong, and feel free to correct me if I am. But since COVID, I mean, outside of Barbie and Oppenheimer, there just hasn't been a movie that's performed in the theaters. Well, Maverick. Maverick was a but, juggernaut. For the most part, people have accepted watching movies at home and become accustomed to that, and are just happy to do that and happy to wait and watch them at home. And the majority of them aren't going to buy physical media. They're just going to wait and they're just going to stream it. Right. So I don't know, like I said, I don't know how to get, people to go support these movies in the theater. And it's not our job to figure that out either. Nope. But my worry is that we're just not going to continue to get these movies, because nobody can just continue to put things out that lose money. I don't care who you are. Disney took such a beating last year on their movies. Warner Brothers took a beat. Oh, I mean, I guess Warner Brothers was fine because they had Disney. I mean, they had Barbie. But, these studios can't just continue to fail at the theaters. And if people aren't going to go see these things, we're not going to get them. And so,
or we get them at less. I mean, you just get them less frequently. It's like, I think we've peaked. I read something today, I think it was on Cord Cutters, about how like what they're actually producing now that is less. And I'm like, well, yeah. I'm like, because they were just, especially with COVID for stream, they were pumping out content left and right. And now they're getting more selective in what they're pumping out or what they're allowing to be produced, because it's like, it's not a bottomless pit of money. So they need to be more selective. In fact, like, there was never a time where we had 10 or 12 giant blockbusters a year. It's like, that was very rare. And it's like, I mean, going back and looking at Endgame, right? Everybody knew Endgame was going to be a juggernaut. So much so that Wonder Woman was delayed.
Right.
So that we didn't, so that it didn't have to run into it. And then it ended up getting delayed even further all the way. That was Wonder Woman 84, right? I think got delayed because of that. And then COVID hit. So it's like, people knew like these juggernauts existed, and then they didn't want to go up against them so that so they could draw some eyeballs. But then you have something like a Barbie and Oppenheimer where I think they purposely went against each other because of that dynamic of, you'd think that it was like certain people would see this one, certain people would see this one. And that was the point of both those movies. And now you have that whole weekend turned out to be like a statement of the culture, really.
Right.
So I don't think it'll ever just go away. I just think it's the day of like 15 great movies playing at the multiplex is pretty much gone,
right.
But us for a home theater, I mean, they are still producing great content for our home theaters through streaming. We talk about it all the time. And when these things come out and we get them at home, we're like, this is fantastic. So I think we're good. I just think you're right. If you're a theater owner, I'd be a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
So, Steve?
Yeah. Well, in terms of the movie, I have seen it. I've now seen it. I've got the 4K disc. And yet when I actually came to watch it, there were a couple of other people with me that didn't really want to see it in the theater room. So I ended up watching the stream in the front room, and I still haven't seen the 4K disc, even though I had it.
Right.
There was no persuading them on this particular occasion. So I enjoyed it. I mean, there's lots of Spanish in it, which is very cool. And I like the fact that they don't always subtitle it either, which is quite fun too. So there are whole exchanges between several characters where there are no subtitles. And so I was translating for the two people that were watching it with me, just so they knew what was going on.
So that
I
was
think
quite
you're
fun,
just
supposed to
nice.
Infer. Exactly. I did.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I was just, I was able to translate for them. No, it's good. It is fun. It's a throwback. I think it is a throwback to kind of some of the 90s movies, not 90s effects, but 90s kind of origin movies and kind of how they were done. But it is fun. It is fun for what it is. So, that's good. Yeah. And I will watch it in the cinema room eventually.
Yeah, and like I said, when you get to the disc, I think you'll enjoy the experience of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I can see why, because it did look great, even on the stream. So, yeah.
Thanks for watching this clip from our live stream. If you're new to the channel and you like what you saw, hit the subscribe button so you can get the alerts on when we go live and when more clips come out. And don't miss out on the audio-only podcast that comes out on Tuesdays called Takeover Tuesdays, where listeners take over the show. I have other guests, and we just chat home theater. You can find it on any podcast streamer that you use. Thanks for watching. Hope to hear from you in the comments. Oh yeah, don't forget to hit that like button.
Hey, Fred.
This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.